Welcome to this very important event in the Monash Health calendar. I am Deepak Sangvi, Chair of Monash Health Board of Directors. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Wurundjeri and Abunarong people, and pay my respects to them, their culture, and their elders past and present. I'm pleased to be with you today to celebrate and acknowledge your years of service to Monash Health. It has been an extraordinary year, perhaps the most extraordinary in your time with Monash Health. I'm so proud of every member of our Monash Health team that responded to the COVID pandemic to continue to deliver the very best of care under the most challenging of circumstances. Today's event will celebrate your incredible contributions. Each of you has a different role, and whether it is keeping our health services clean, making meals, or delivering the best face-to-face health care, your contribution makes a real difference in the lives of real people. Working in health is not like any other job. And by your long service, you have shown you are special people. As you continue in your life journey, I hope you will reflect with pride on the differences you have made to the people's lives at their time of need. I hope you will also be as excited by the future as I am. Ahead of us, we have the opportunity to grow and improve our care to the community. We have the vision to be a leading teaching and research health services of the international standing. I'm confident we will achieve that vision because of you. I will finish by thanking you again for your service each and every day. You inspire me and my board members to work together in the service of a great health service. I'll now ask our Chief Executive, Andrew Stripp, to reflect on the past year. Enjoy your day. You have earned it.
And thank you, Deepak, and welcome everyone to our 15 years of service for our volunteers and employees. A very different night tonight than what we've normally had. Those of you that have attended a length of service award ceremony before, you'd recognise that many of us see this as one of the highlights of the year, where we get to meet so many of you, talk about the time you've been at Monash Health, share in celebrations and hear about some of your journey. We're going to try and do a little bit of that tonight. We're going to try and do that by some virtual interviews, a little bit of recording of people's journey themselves. But the idea is to try and pick up our approach, translate a little bit to what we've done in the past, but at the same time recognise that we wanted to continue this event, but we need to do it in a safe way, and having 1,000 people in a room sitting up next to each other just wasn't going to work this year. A bit sad, but important that we recognise where we're at. Of course, we all know that without your contribution, without your many years of service, Monash Health wouldn't be what it is. It's through you, it's through the teamwork you bring to the work every day that we're able to deliver excellence in care. We continue to strive to improve, work together, support each other, and that's really never been more important than what it has been in this year, has it? What an extraordinary year we've been through with COVID-19. I'm sure you would have seen, and if you didn't, I'll share with you some of the great celebration, I guess, that we did the other day, where we discharged the very last person who'd been at Monash Health with COVID-19. He'd been with us for a couple of months. Just prior to that, we discharged his wife, and you would have seen those daily numbers, those daily COVID numbers of 0 new infections, 0 deaths, but 3 people who were still experiencing COVID-19. They were all our all under our care, 1 outpatient and 2 inpatients. We've now rounded that off, pleasingly sent them home infection-free to start their process of recovery, which of course we will support them in that journey as well. Strange to think that it was the 24th of January that we all started this journey. I remember it was a Friday and I got a phone call. I can't remember who it was from, whether it was Dr. Stewart, Rhonda Stewart, or Martin Keogh, or it was probably one of those two, to let me know that we had probably our very first COVID-19 patient, not just at Monash Health, but in Victoria and actually in Australia. Somebody had just recently travelled from Wuhan. And then what a journey it's been since that time. Started off slow. We all realised that we needed to start to work differently. It's hard to imagine, hard to go back, I think, to think that back in March, things were getting busier. We were busily learning and in PPE and doing refresher courses. Extraordinary effort over the course of the next few months to have a situation where everyone that worked with inpatient care or in an area where they were going to be potentially exposed to COVID-19 in their work had been trained in PPE. Many thousands of people, great effort, great teamwork to train, learn, understand, use our technology through our latte system to approach that. And we continued, didn't we? We continued to do other things. We opened the Casey Hospital, record time. We wondered whether we would actually do that this year. Not only was it something we were planning to do over 2 years, we ended up doing it in the next couple of months. We put a new demountable at Monash Medical Centre, a new emergency department extension to ensure that we could receive people safely. We opened our day infusion centre ahead of time to move a very vulnerable group of people out of a ward environment down into a front of house environment. We implemented new visitor arrangements. We introduced virtual care whereby we could ensure our visitors could still have access to loved ones, and many other changes in the way we've worked. And again, coming back to that such important ingredient of teamwork, strive to excellence, underpinned by kindness and a recognition of the need to support each other and our patients during what is really an extraordinary time for us all. Excuse me. In August, we got to, I'm going to have to pause for a moment. Excuse me. In August, we got to our peak of almost 700 people with COVID-19. And then we went into another experience, didn't we, where we got even more restrictions on where we could go and what we could do. We got used to wearing masks. Strangely enough, I don't know about you, but I'm still getting used to being outside without a mask. I never thought I would say such a thing, but it feels a little bit strange to be out there walking around without a mask, of course, only in safe and appropriate times, but an extraordinary effort. Our foundation, our Monash Health Foundation, launched an appeal for research support and broke all records for Monash Health in terms of community fundraising and raised about $500,000, which we've been through a process and allocated out through a competitive process to our leading researchers to further the knowledge, wisdom, expertise in dealing with this infection and associated disease, COVID-19. So here we are now, moving into the summer period, getting close to technically what's defined as having eradicated the virus from our community. So we're at, I think, 24 days. Technically, the scientists tell us at 28 days, no new infections. We've hit an eradication. And then we need to move into that sort of maintenance of safety, but also how we start to bring and open up our community. You would have heard that we're opening up some of the borders today or very soon. But what an extraordinary time it's been, and I'm sure this has been a significant period of your time at Monash Health, but also there are many other significant periods in your time. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to assist this sort of process, try and adapt it, and we're going to have what we call the Slido question and answer program. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up a slide in a minute, and that'll show you where we want you to log on. So we want you to go to Slido, and Slido will allow you put enter Slido into your Google search, SLIDO, and you put in your code. Here it comes now. So go to slido.com, or as I said, just put Slido into your Google on your phone or on an iPad. Put in your code, MHLOS 2020, and then during the night we'll ask you a few questions which we'll ask you to respond to, and just get a bit more interaction about some of the sort of significant events and times during your time at Monash Health. We've also got a few interviews that we're going to do, a few people to chat with. But to start off proceedings, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to invite Andrew Block to join us. Andrew, are you there?
I am, Andrew.
Welcome.
Good evening. I'm good, thanks, Andrew. Good evening, everybody.
And what's your, just remind everyone what your job here is, Andrew?
My day job is Chief Transformation Officer, but it has a few add-ons that have been, been really interesting in the last 8 or 9 months in responding to COVID in a range of settings, with support of our operational team and our clinicians. It's been quite a ride, hasn't it?
How long have you been with us with Monash Health, Andrew?
It's a good question, Andrew. In fact, I received my official 10-year certificate at the awards, I think, 2 years ago. But in fact, there's been a break in that for my training. But I've actually been with Monash for 19 years now.
Wow. Okay. I'm sure Karen Lowe's just noting that down so that she can tidy that up for next year, Andrew.
Big jump next year, eh? Yeah.
We often joke about the fact that as we move into December, we joke about, there's only a couple more weeks. At the beginning of December, we say there's only a couple more weeks before February because, it feels like the holiday period or the festive season just gets collapsed. I'm not sure if I've ever heard anyone say that they got their 10-year award and then 2 years later got their 20-year award, but there's always...
It might be the first.
There might be a first. One of the interesting things about these events is this whole WebEx thing is how extraordinary it is, isn't it? That here I am in my office. I'm actually standing in my little corner. It's my little corner of my office with the photograph of the Giro d'Italia when they were going around the Amalfi Coast. And we can also see that your family's busy behind you preparing dinner. So it's a nice way to bring people together.
Do I need to just move that camera a little bit, Andrew? Do you think?
No. Just as long as your family don't do anything too outrageous, Andrew.
No, they won't. They know what's going on, Andrew.
Certainly would make for an interesting night. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you. Look, it's my great pleasure to honour the volunteers who've given over 15 years of service to Monash Health. There are 10 names that I'm going to read. And this is quite a special group, isn't it? People that have devoted such time to Monash. And we all know that volunteers make such an important contribution to the experience of our patients, tending to their needs, often being there, holding a hand or fetching a drink or directing people around our organisation. They warm and soften our environment during a period of vulnerability for people. So volunteers are very special, and particularly when they've devoted so much time. So I would like to honour the following 10 people who have devoted 15 years plus to Monash Health. I'd like to honour David Blanche, Patricia Blanche, Heather Anthony, Jeanette Davis, Adriana Hewson, Jenny MacArthur, Judy Hopkins, Veronica Valenta, Liz Overdyke, and Pauline Hopkins. Thank you all very much for the effort and the work that you've provided to Monash over the last 15 years. It's greatly appreciated by both the staff at Monash and our community. Back to you, Andrew.
Trying to show that I'm not as technically challenged as last night, Andrew. I should have mentioned last night we did our length of service, our 5 and 10 year length of service for volunteers and employees. And we met with 680 people. So it was a slightly bigger night than tonight. But this is part 2. And we'll have our part 3 and part 4 next week on our journey. Normally we do this over one day where we do a couple of sessions in the afternoon and an evening. So we're trying to model that slightly differently. So I mentioned before that we're going to ask you a few questions just to get some reflections from you to get a bit of a feel. Poor substitute for being together in person where we get to have a bit of a chat, but we need to adapt. So mentioned before, Slido, let's just pop that up again if we could, please, Tim. So the Slido address, SLIDO on your Google search or just into your web browser. And then the application, then the code is MHLOS 2020. So pop that in, and there you go. So you can see the question. So what is it? You've travelled back in time to your very first day at Monash Health. What advice would you give? What would you tell yourself on that day? So with your 15 years of wisdom being here at Monash Health, what advice would you give yourself if you could jump back and whisper in the ear of yourself on that first day? And pop them up, and we'll come back to that shortly. So let's move on from there, Tim. So we're starting to see them, so that's great. Now, we've got a volunteer to interview, but I think Veronica might be having a little bit of trouble connecting. So
I think we've got her. Let's give it a go.
Okay, well, let's do that. Veronica.
Yes, I'm here.
Nice to hear from you, Veronica. Can you see me okay?
I see you okay.
Wonderful.
Can you...
Oh, there you are. I can see you as well, Veronica.
Oh, good, good. Okay.
So welcome, Veronica. You're a volunteer at Monash Health, and how long have you been volunteering with us?
Actually, quite a long time ago, probably more than 15 years, because I moved to this place, this new place. I bought a house here, and I went to the church, and how they started first meeting with Father John. And then I said, oh, that's a good idea to come in a group where people to visit and talk about with someone, and because I love to have someone to, who is not well or stressed and have a bit of chat. So that's how I did. I joined it, and I enjoy every bit of it. It's really nice because people are very happy when they are in hospital. They need someone to talk or even give communion, because I'm a Catholic, so I give them communion. If it's not that, then we have a bit of chat. So they are pleased. They're really happy about it, and make me happy too, so working with someone.
Are there particular areas where you usually go, particular hospital or a particular area in the hospital?
Casey Hospital in Berwick.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the most thing I was visiting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you would have seen some big changes at Casey Hospital over your time there, Veronica.
Well, I haven't been there since the virus started up.
Yeah.
The building was not open yet that time.
Okay.
Haven't been yet to have a look. No.
We'll be getting you back soon. I think you'll be pretty impressed. It's the team have done a great job in terms of opening it up, and it's a much bigger and different place to what it was, well, when we first obviously opened it. What was that, about 12 years ago? I think we first opened Casey, a little bit longer perhaps. And here we are now. It's almost doubled in size.
Yes, it is. It's another big building, yeah.
And is there a particular part of your volunteer work that you really enjoy?
Actually, I don't know what to say with that way. Mostly those where there was people rehab. That's the one of the best. I like to do that because you can check them. They walk with you, and So it's
Right.
one of the best.
You're doing very well with the technology. It's something we've all had to get used to, isn't it? Sort of the talking like this. It's a bit strange.
Now it's okay, yes, but I was sort of fiddling. I'm not very good with computers or anything.
Well, you've done very well. It's amazing how we've all had to adapt, and well done. Veronica, thank you very much for everything you do for our community, for working alongside the Monash Health team and as part of the Monash Health team. Thank you for your many years of service, and I wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see you back at Casey very soon.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much for your time.
Take care and all the best.
Yes. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite David Valentine. David, are you there?
I am, Andrew. I'm just bringing up my video now. It should come through shortly.
I'm sure it will. How long have you been with us now, David?
Good questions. Now, I started in August last year, so yeah, coming on to 15 months.
Right, so you passed your 1 year anniversary?
Passed the 1 year anniversary, and that was probably the height of the COVID lockdown, actually. So I'm not sure if it was one to celebrate or commiserate of, but yeah, the time's flown by.
Well, I think you probably need to make a point of reading or paying attention to when I read out the advice from people online, David, because, you know, there's probably some good words of wisdom in there for a new starter like you. Well, a new starter like you in their eyes.
Yeah, and those updates have been great. So it's been a big journey in the last 12 months to, you know, working through the role and getting to know the organisation, but then the great opportunity from my perspective to get to know the business through what COVID's done for us to actually collaborate as an organisation. It's been a great day for me to meet a lot of people across the business, and a great example of teamwork and collaboration and how we've pulled together throughout the COVID journey as well.
So I don't think it'd be fair to describe your job as managing the Lego set or sophisticated plumber. What actually is your job, David?
Yeah, so I'm the Executive Director for Capital and Infrastructure. I guess some people would see all the buildings we have and see the clinical services that operate within those areas. But within that and behind that, there's a whole lot of infrastructure as well, such as all the air conditioning and the lighting and the power, etc. So all those assets for ongoing operations responsibilities I've got, but also our capital program that we're, you know, involved with some of the minor modifications, but also the larger projects that I get to work with that are closely with the department and look to put together those business cases and funding submissions to hopefully get funding for various projects. And thankfully, I'm involved with some of those at the moment as well on the larger scale within the organisation that will get to operate and commission in the next few years.
Over to you, David, for the next group of our 15-year length of service people. I think this is our employees.
It is. So again, thank you for the opportunity to present, albeit online this evening. You know, early on in my time with Monash, I saw the award ceremony last year, and saw the passion and the commitment and the culture of the place through that day. It's a little bit different online now, but equally, I just really want to reflect upon the amazing achievement that it is for a number of people to. I'm going to read out, and more to follow after that as well. For 15 years commitment, which is an amazing achievement. So congratulations to everyone. I also feel that the people are the lifeblood of culture within an organisation, and you being at Monash for such a long period of time now with 15 years service, you're a great demonstration of the great culture of the organisation. So congratulations to everybody I'm about to read out. The first one I've got is Manju Abraham, Suma Abraham, Ashanti Adikara, Roxanne Ag, Hotham Al Majoub, Monique Allen, Les Allen, Padmini Amma Rasinga, Peter Anna Staropoulos, Kay Anderson, Janelle Andrews, Linda Andrews, Julie Anstis, Veronica Apay, Amanda Ardiana, Janelle Armstrong, Catherine Au, Rula Bakalopoulos, Kathy Baldwin, Jonathan Bear, Nicole Barner, Diane Barr, Melissa Bartlett, Timothy Barton, Sandra Bate, Jennifer Baxter, Suzanne Beat, Jennifer Benham, David Benson, Ione Berkelmans, Samantha Beveridge, Jatinda Bhagat, Betty Bajou, Izdenka Billy, Carol Birchall, Dora Bitsalis, Natasha Bowman, Matthew Bowman, and Selena Boyd-Journey. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for your commitment to Monash Health. I'm going to pass back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, David. So, we now have, I'm just checking my notes. So, I've got another interview with Nita. Nita, are you there?
Hi, Andrew. Yes, I am.
How are you tonight or this afternoon?
California-based company. Sorry, I didn't hear that, Andrew.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm really well, thank you.
Oh, fabulous. Nita, just tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm an occupational therapist, Andrew, and I started at Casey Hospital. Obviously, it's very famous, 15 years ago. So I think about 5 months after they had opened. Yeah. And, of course, when I went for the interview, I got a little bit lost, and I found a lady and said, do you know where this hospital is? Casey Hospital. And it was really funny. She said to me, oh, the Salam Namaste Hospital, because a Bollywood movie had actually been filmed there. And so, after that, I kept telling everyone, well, I've got a job at the Bollywood Hospital. So, yeah, that was 15 years ago. So I worked at Wardy for about 7 years. And then when they opened up the new SECU at Unit 4, I got the opportunity to start the occupational therapy department there. Worked there for about 2.5 years and then moved into my current role as discipline senior for occupational therapy in the mental health program for the adult and age sector.
Yep. Okay. And so how long do you say you've been with Monash Health?
15 years.
15.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Okay. So we didn't get that wrong?
No, we got that right.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a big tick for Karen and the team.
Yes.
And memorable moments. It's been a pretty big journey, Casey Hospital, during that time. I mean, the last year's been quite extraordinary, but you must have had some very interesting times, particularly in the mental health program and such a large growth in the community.
Yes, I think for me, working at Casey Hospital when it was just starting was actually quite exciting. I would actually say in terms of all the jobs that I've had in my life, that was one of the nicest. From the point of view that it was a growing team. We had an amazing set of consultants like Sean Tampiapa, Martin Preston, Dr. Pinto, who were really all keen to do, new and to do things outside the box. So one of the most exciting things for me was we got to paint the seclusion wall. I don't know if you've ever been into the Wardy seclusion area. It's a huge wall. It was just grey. And I very bravely approached Irma and Art Access and said, do you think there's anyone who could come and help paint the wall? And then we commissioned in inverted commas, a couple of ex-patients. And over a 2-year period, the wall was painted every Friday. And it was there was a documentary on it in that the journey was documented. And then the ABC put it up and it was just called The Wall. But it was actually a recovery journey for consumers who felt that they could give back. And that was really quite an exciting part to be. Working with volunteers has also been something that I found amazing. Coming to this country, I don't know how much Australians do not realize how amazing the volunteer culture is. And so a lot of the work that we did on the mental health ward at that stage was with the support of volunteers. So it was really great to see Veronica here as well.
The volunteers are so important to what we do, and they make it so much more rich, don't they, for our consumers and for our team. You mentioned that you came to Australia. When was that?
So that was actually 3 months before I came to work at Casey Hospital.
Okay.
So we moved from South Africa.
Okay.
And we had decided the first 3 months my husband would start work, but I would sort of acclimatize the children. And then once they were a little bit settled, then I could find work, yeah.
And how old are the little ones now? I suspect not all that little.
Oh, no, at least I didn't have to do any homeschooling because we did the last VCE last year, so I got lucky.
Oh, very good, very good. Thank you very much for joining us tonight and having a chat. It's always good to meet a few people, so congratulations on your years of service and thank you for joining us.
And thank you, Andrew, to you and your team. You'll do an amazing job.
Thank you very much. You take care. So now I would like to invite Katrina Nankerbus, our Chief Nursing and Midwifery Officer. Katrina, are you there?
I am. Hello, Andrew.
I can hear you tonight, Katrina.
That's fabulous, Andrew.
Katrina and I had a slightly, actually maybe I'll just say I had a slightly stressful night last night. I kept saying, Katrina, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And I couldn't hear her. And Katrina was dutifully checking her equipment, but she was receiving texts from people telling her that everyone could hear her, and the problem actually wasn't Katrina. The problem was the chief executive, who was being too clever with his technology and turned the volume down. So we sorted that out. I'm slightly stressed, Katrina, but I think we're doing okay.
We're doing fine.
Great. Okay, over to you, Katrina.
Thanks, Andrew. Great pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to congratulate and thank you on your 15 years of service with Monash Health. What a fantastic achievement. And also I'd like to congratulate you on your fantastic choice. I'm completely biased. I think Monash Health is an amazing place to work. And I'm sure that, given you've given 15 years of your life to it, that you also share that view. So I'll get on with reading those names now, but thank you very much for what you do each and every day. So, Maria Boyer, Jodie Boyland, Lana Freeman, Melinda Brinsley, Justin Brown, Kimmy Lee Brown, Emma Brown, Alicia Brown, Diana Brown, Beverly Brusson, Colette Bruton, Julie Burgess, Leanne Burke, and Alison Burns, Emma Campagna, Ioana Campos, Alexander Caravellas, Melissa Carr, Janelle Carter, Rebecca Chalmers, Li Mai Chen, Angus Chu, Chi Hu Chi, Cam Chin, Chen Chang, Rachel Clancy, Catherine Clancy, Marion Cocker, Sarah Caldecott, Anna Conception, Peter Coombs, Anne Coughlin, Lynn Court, Catherine Cowie, Julie Cowley, Deirdre Kramer, Jessica Cranston, Wendy Fraser, Suzanne Criddle, Jane Cunningham, John Cunningham, Mary Daff, Stephen Damiani, Robin Dam, Pina Davis, Mary DeCosta, Amanda DePrince, Ingrid Dempster, Anne-Marie Dennis, Suzanne Dewing. Thanks very much, each and every one of you. Back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Katrina. I've had to loosen the tie a bit. I was just getting a bit worried there that it wasn't going to go to plan, but I did hear everything you said. So I now get to just go back to those questions. Where were we? You've travelled back in time to your first day at Monash Health. What would you tell yourself? So why don't we just pop them up on screen, Kim? We're being a bit flexible. So just to share with people some of those. Don't park in the Oval car park. It's time limited. And okay, that's good advice. Don't worry, you'll figure out these pumps soon. Not sure that one, but looking forward to helping people. Be brave. You will enjoy being a volunteer. That's good. Follow your interests. Enjoy the ride. What a great organisation to work for. Lots of job opportunities. Katrina last night was telling us that she started off as a grade 2 nurse at Monash Health and a couple of weeks ago was appointed as the Executive Director of Nursing. So certainly a few job opportunities along the way. And I think that's one of the great things about Monash Health is it's the rich and diverse nature of what we do. Make the most of the opportunity. What a challenging environment. You're in the right place. Enjoy the quick commute with no traffic near Casey Hospital while you can. Yep, that's probably true, isn't it? It certainly has. The traffic and population growth out there has been quite extraordinary. I remember I worked as a regional director for health and child protection and housing. It must be about 20 years ago now, before Casey was built. And the growth in the corridor was tremendous then. It was sort of 80 new houses a week. I think it's now only something like 45 new houses a week, which is quite extraordinary population growth. You know more than you think. Be confident. Very good advice. I like that one with one a little bit late, which is the one just there, which is ask for help. So be confident, but also be confident in asking for help. It's great advice. Take a deep breath. No need to stress. This is the first day of many adventures and wonderful career opportunities. That's very good. Be less nervous and don't faint. Ask for help. Progress over perfection. Certainly been our mandate this year, hasn't it been? Safety, move quickly, otherwise the virus will get in front of us. And what a great job the Monash Health team have done. You're in for an amazing journey. This is a special place. No 2 days will be the same. I couldn't agree more. Sometimes I think I know what my day is going to be like, but it very quickly changes. This will be a dream job. Enjoy the journey. Some great advice there. I said to the team last night we'll pick up some of that and incorporate that into our orientation program. I think some of the work that we do when we welcome new starters to Monash Health. So we're going to go now to Louise Cannon. Louise, are you there?
Hi, Andrew. I am here.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm really well.
And you're going to announce the next group of 15-year length of service awards. Louise.
I am. Thanks so much. For those of you online, I just want to say thank you for your many, many years of service and commitment to Monash Health. I think the longest tenure I've had at one place has been 8 or 9 years. And so I actually really have such regard for those of you who can stay with one place because, you know, let's be honest, we all have our ups and downs, as wonderful as Monash Health is, for this amount of time and really demonstrate your commitment to the people that we serve and also your colleagues. So thank you so much. I've got a few names to read out. Carmen Di Coletto, Jocelyn Di Fanturum, Lensa Dinka, Olajita Jakordik, Louise Dowling, Linda Downs, Michelle Dracker, Celine D'Souza, Zvi Duyeb, Zoe Duke, Tanya Duncan, Tracy Dunlop, Kelvin Dunn, Tracy East, Louise Edge, Nicole Ellery, Anna Englund, Wendy Ewing, Zubir Ezat, Suzanne Faderson, Michael Fay, Marissa Fowson, Huey Fang, Jennifer Farr, Brendan Farrell, Amy Faulkner, Carmel Foe, Robin Fergus, Bridget Fernandez, Genevieve Fernandez, Jean-Claude Ferrier, Michelle Francis, Kamala Frank, Leslie Frank, Michelle Franken, Anne Fremont, Maxine Garman, Lisa Geeson, Malcolm Gibson, Michelle Giles, Sarah Gobina, Robin Gorgol, Marla Govenda, Sandra Grayson, Nicole Hall, Casey Halloran, Linda Hamilton, James Harley, Marion Harris, and Heidi Harron. So thank you all for your service and long may that continue as well. Andrew, back to you.
You're looking very summary there, Lou. I've taken the advice of some of those comments about relaxing a bit, so the jacket's off. Is it nice and warm out there, is it? I can't hear you, Lou.
No, I muted myself. It's a bit warm where I'm working from, and I do have the window open, and our neighbours had the leaf blower going as well.
Right, it is.
I have turned that off.
It is. I've found that I've been in some pretty intense meetings over the course of this year, sort of at a state level, and it's amazing how often the leaf blowers start, or I think we heard today from a meeting I was in, someone was concerned that next door had restarted their gym activity and it was sounding like a disco, and they felt they might need to go on mute. So we do have to be pretty flexible in this sort of environment, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so Slido question number 2. So back to Slido if you could, team. So what Monash Health moment lives in your memory? What Monash Health moment lives in your memory? So there it is. So over to you. Tap that out as we're working through our guests. Lou, can I just check with you? Excuse me, my notes don't have a name, but someone from ultrasound at Dandenong. Have they joined us, or did that not work out?
So I think we have an interview with Malcolm Gibson. Do we have? Let me just. Yes, we do. Malcolm, I can see you online. And you've come off mute. Yes, so we've got Malcolm with us.
Hello, Louise. Hello, Andrew.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. They forgot to give me your name, Malcolm, so I apologize. I'm just going to give them. Excuse me for a moment, Malcolm. This is live. We're not mucking around here. I'm just going to give them the team a little hint. They've also forgotten to give me a name for the next interview I do, but they're on to it now. Sorry about that, Malcolm. So tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm the Chief Medical Imaging Technologist, or Chief Radiographer at Dandenong. I've been at Dandenong for just almost 16 years now. First arrived to be the ultrasound supervisor, and then had the opportunity to become the Chief Radiographer about 18 months after my arrival, and have been there ever since.
Now, Malcolm, this is going to be a bit of a strange question for you, I'm sure, but one of the great things about Monash Health is the rich and diverse group of people that we work with. Some close to 19,000 employees now, and our budget continues to grow. We'll probably be around $2.4 billion this year. So big organisation. And I suspect that there's quite a few people on the line at the moment that have no idea what an ultrasound does.
Well,
that's my way of saying, can you explain it to me? I probably should say.
I can explain it to you, yes.
Seriously. Share that. Tell us what it does and what's it used for on a serious note.
So my role is I manage the whole of the imaging service at Dandenong Hospital, which includes the ultrasound service. I did come from an ultrasound clinical background. We use ultrasound for imaging of babies in obstetrics, and also for looking at organs in the body, also used for looking at blood flow and identifying musculoskeletal injuries. It's an area that has expanded very rapidly over the last couple of decades, and certainly the ultrasound service at Monash Health has grown immensely in my time here, and Dandenong is part of that growth, having gone from not quite 3 rooms running to 8 rooms running, very busy rooms. And part of the ultrasound expansion, we've seen expansion across all the areas of imaging at Dandenong as demand has increased. And it's been a time of change and improvement, and it's been a great time to be in the hospital.
It's, ultrasound, as you're just saying, such an important diagnostic tool in partnership with such a busy maternity program. 1 in 7 babies born at Monash Health, which is a slightly frightening number when you think about it. 1 in 7 Victorians born at Monash Health, and I think it's fair to say, I think every woman has an ultrasound. Is that right, Malcolm?
Yeah, often more than one.
Yep.
And it's a service that will continue to grow, and the demand is, it's increasing demand. As technology develops, we find new ways to use it, and provides opportunity for diagnosing more things and being able to see things clearer in patients. And it's across all our modalities. MRI, CT scan have all developed a lot over the last decade or so, and the demand for those services continues to grow.
The radiologist once said to me that it won't be too long before when anyone walks into the hospital to visit, they'll walk through a CAT scan, a CT scan. I thought that was slightly ambitious, but the notion of this technology just developing is quite extraordinary, isn't it? It
is, and there are many patients that come into the hospital will have imaging of some nature. It's almost every patient at some point will pass through our department.
Do you have a particular memory that you want to share with the group tonight, Malcolm?
I think that for me, over the last 15 years, the big thing that stands in my mind is the people and they're looking after each other, and their focus on making sure that we look after our patients and we do the best that we can with what's available to us to give them a good service and to give them a quality service. Certainly seen a lot of changes at Dandenong, and there are probably too many to mention, and we continue to see change with the most recent developments that are there, where we have a new CT scan space and we're about to install a second MRI magnet. They're the things that keep you going each day, that are exciting to see. And it's, as somebody said, no 2 days are the same, and constantly learning something new and seeing something new.
Yes, I remember when I was walking around in my early days, and I was shown a door, and I opened it up, and it was this huge empty space ready for radiology expansion, and great to see that progressing. Thanks for joining us tonight. That's fabulous to hear some of your story and get to meet you, although in a strange way. And you take care, and congratulations on all your years of service.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so our next group of 15-year lengths of service is, I hope, Karen Lowe. Is that right? Karen, are you next?
I think it might be me, Andrew. Martin.
Very good, Martin. Thank you. It's part of your key job, Martin, isn't it? To gently keep me on the straight and narrow and make sure my mistakes are picked up gently, politely. Don't tell anyone tonight, Martin. Over to you, Martin.
Good evening, everybody. And again, like others, it's just great to be here. It's a different experience, as we've already heard from others, to be doing these events via WebEx. And, we've all adapted to this new technology. So I hope you're all at home or somewhere nice with some people that you care about and some family and friends to help celebrate this with you. As we've heard, you can be anywhere. I've got a couple of close working colleagues that have got awards tonight, so congratulations, Alex and Stephen.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Bye.
One of those colleagues is currently watching this with his family sitting on the beach. So that's the beauty of this technology. You can be anywhere and still enjoy it. So Alex and family, I hope you're enjoying the sunshine on the beach. So to get into my list, congratulations to these recipients. So Fernanda Howe, Amanda Howarth, Caroline Hawthorne, Jackie Halregal, Robin Hayes, Yamanan Haladedzi, Christine Hill, Jacqueline Hocking, Carol Hoyles, Sixa Hu, Cheryl Hunt, Chandra Hurst, Rachel Hutter, Wendy Irving, Bruce Jackson, Evelyn Jardine, Kananda Kar Jaasalaki, Joanne Jeffs, Tessita Jimenez, Robin Jolly, Wendy Jones, Claire Jones, Ian Jong, Jacqueline Jordan, Anita Joseph, Amel Kerr, Mel Kazutis, Penelope Kearney, Christine Calloway, Samantha Kelly, Colin Kennedy, Jackie Kernich, Gangpreet Kaharan, and Jeremy Cam. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for your service across the 15 years at Monash Health.
Thank you, Martin. Your story of Alex sitting on the beach reminds me of a phone call that we had where I needed to unexpectedly have a chat with you, Martin. I think thought you were having a quiet day, so we organised a WebEx with Martin, and he didn't have his camera on, but we were chatting away, and I could hear this strange sound in the background, and I all of a sudden realised what it was, and I sort of decided to discreetly ask Martin, do you happen to be on a boat? To which Martin confessed yes, and he was having a quiet day, sitting in the middle of Port Phillip Bay, the sounds of water lapping against the side of the boat, having a chat with me. So we got the job done, but it's amazing how these things can do. So, Alex, I hope you're having a nice time at the beach. And everyone else, as Martin said, it's one of the extraordinary things about this new technology, isn't it? Okay, so let me just reorientate. So responses to our question, which is what Monash Health moment lives in your memory? Watching Kieran Perkins win the 1500 metres during nights at the 1996 Olympics, saw the start of the race, reviewed a patient, then saw him win in the end with everyone crowded around a TV screen. That's a great memory. Learning the EMR, yep, I can understand that. My first day, when visiting patients on the ward, I unexpectedly ran into an old friend from my childhood from 70 years ago. What an extraordinary moment. Amazing that you recognised them, but yeah, what an extraordinary time. The friends I've made with other volunteers, seeing the demountables dropped into the ED at Monash Medical Centre in response to COVID-19. I wonder if you've seen there's a YouTube video of that, one of those time-lapse videos. I'm not sure I can actually find the address, but someone might be able to tell me, and I'll share that with you if you haven't seen it. It's quite extraordinary to see it happening over the period of time. It was quite remarkable, wasn't it? Amazing what people can do with everything around them. They're able to drop that crane in over all that infrastructure. The clinical innovation in stroke care, which has dramatically improved practice and outcomes worldwide, absolutely. Some extraordinary research coming out of our stroke team. I remember not long ago, probably a year or so now ago, we had a minister visit and introduced a patient who'd come in and was unable to speak and walk, and through the intervention of our clinical team, only a few days later was able to leave the hospital. Quite an extraordinary outcome, and what great work the stroke team are doing and continue to do. 300 days of COVID and counting, and our response to it, unforgettable. It certainly has been something that I think that will live with us the rest of our lives. Watching the choir of Hard Knocks perform, I remember that, an impressive performance, and I think great to see. One that Martin Keogh certainly will remember as well, the days of thunderstorm asthma. we'd all heard about it, or many of us had heard about it theoretically, but to actually see the impact it had on the community was both frightening, but also, again, a great response from the team. And then the opening of Monash Children's Hospital feels like yesterday, but must be close to 4.5 years ago now, so extraordinary times. Some great memories there. Thank you for sharing them. So my next interview is with Anna Murphy from the Movement Disorders Service, the Movement Disorders Specialist at Kingston. Welcome, Anna.
Thanks, Andrew.
How are you doing? You're not sitting at the beach?
No, I'm not sitting at the beach. I madly rode my bike home to join in tonight. So,
how far's the ride?
It's 28k.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in the North City.
Oh, that's a serious ride.
It's good. Clears my head. So rather than being in all that traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you do that safely? Which way do you go?
So I'm always on a bike path pretty much, so through Moorabbin and up through East Boundary Road till eventually I get onto the Gardeners Creek Trail and then onto the Yarra Trail and then up around the G and...
Beautiful.
Yes, it is nice.
Are you a wet weather rider as well?
Yes, I do some wet riding, but I admit on Monday morning I just went, no.
It was just wild. It was a limit.
Yes, it was a limit for a Monday.
So tell us a bit about your work.
So I'm a biomechanist, and biomechanics is the study of movement and the forces that cause those movements. I specialise in the way people walk, and so I was lured down to Monash Health 15 years ago to lead the Clinical Research Centre for Movement Disorders and Gait and the Clinical Gait Analysis Service, both running out of our gait laboratory. Both of them quite different. So for the research unit, we use neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease to understand the way the brain works and how it controls our movement. And then the Clinical Gait Analysis Service, it's very much in its infancy when I joined, so it was a matter of building that up and also sort of training the team and developing as a team to understand the power of the data that we collect so we can inform and guide clinical decision making in treating people with a gait impairment.
And you mentioned Parkinson's disease, so is it only an older person's service or do you work with all ages?
No, so our clinical service, we see people from about 16 years of age upwards, and they have I think we've got about 14 or 15 different diagnostic groups we see, so stroke, cerebral palsy, brain injuries, multiple sclerosis, hereditary spastic paraplegia, a huge range of people, anyone with a walking impairment.
Okay. And are there particular groups you see more of?
I think at the moment we're certainly seeing a lot more people with multiple sclerosis and stroke. So they're our dominant groups.
Okay. I guess with our increasing role in stroke care in Victoria being one of the 2 designated stroke services, that's probably not a big surprise.
No, it's mainly people out in the community, I think. We often see people where they're at the end of their line and often clinicians aren't too sure what to do next. They've tried one intervention, tried another, and they get to a point where we're really not too sure what to do with this patient, so they'll refer them to us to guide and recommend other options for them.
How's this year been for you?
Very interesting, very interesting. We shut down for the first wave and then we managed to open up in early June, but we used that time to put systems in place to implement a new biomechanical model. So we're leading that project nationally, and so it actually was quite fortuitous for us to be able to do that body of work. We're a very part-time service. We only operate 2 days a week. So we were able to do that work. We reopened with obviously all the systems in place, and we didn't have to shut down the second time, which was great because patients were just stopped coming. Their rehab was stopped, and they were waiting for our service. So it's been really, really exciting to open back up and be there for the patients.
It's been that's fantastic to hear, and sort of a very difficult circumstance, but great to hear that, you know, sort of understanding and adapting, and, you know, no one would say taking an opportunity in the sense of it being a good thing, but I guess recognising the context and the reality of it and saying, so how can we do this differently? How can we use this time, even though none of us would have liked it to have happened? How can we use it productively? That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thanks, Andrew.
And as we moved out of lockdown, was there something that you were dying to do, you know, hit a favourite restaurant or visit a family friend, or what was the sort of the top of your list? Of course, you don't have to share.
Love just to get out into the countryside, and all my family's in Queensland, so not having my mum come down to visit has been very difficult, so looking forward to that opportunity soon.
I think that border's just about to open, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Announcement today, so that's very exciting.
Well, that's really close. I'm glad to hear that for you and your mum. And also, I guess, being able to ride more than a 5 kilometre circle.
No, well, you were allowed to ride, to commute.
Of course. That's very good.
Yes, even though the roads were really quiet, I was tempted a lot to drive because it was very fast, but I missed the riding, and that enticed me back.
Did you jump on the roads or stick to the bike path?
Stick to the bike path. Such a nice ride.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and thanks to Monash Health. I think it's been wonderful for the organisation and their communication channels through this whole pandemic.
Great.
Appreciated it.
You take care, and again, thank you for all your years of service.
Thanks very much.
So, Karen, you with us?
I am.
How are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. I often tease Karen because she, as soon as the lockdown finished, Karen's visited every restaurant within walking distance of her home. Is that how you're going on that, Karen?
I'm going pretty well. I'm doing very well, thank you. I've nearly achieved my goal.
Well done. Well done. Over to you, Karen.
Thank you, everybody. Hi, my name's Karen Lowe. I'm the Executive Director for People and Culture. And like everyone before me, I really wish to thank you for your service and your contribution to Monash Health over the last 15 years. I'm sure you'll have seen a lot of change over the last 15 years, and this year may have topped it, though. But anyway, congratulations and thanks for everything you've done for our patients, our consumers, and really more importantly, from my perspective, for our colleagues. Our colleagues are just so important for how we enjoy our work. So thank you for that. So the people I've got to acknowledge their fabulous service for us are Pauline Lanham, Leanne Lasker, Suchitra Laxman, Sarah Lee, Adrienne Lee, Erica Lehman, Vanita Lem, Tech Leong, Samantha Leslie, Frauk Lever, Meiju Lee, Natasha Lindu, Michelle Lindsay Dorr, Sharon Ling, Cassandra Locke, Amanda Longo, Carol Lowe, Deanna Lynn, Silvana Mackey, Nita Marabubani, John Makatassis, Marilyn Malabanan, Grace Manolo, Irene Marcelino, Pamela Maroney, Cindy Marshall, Mandy Matthews, Sarah Mao, Kevin McDougall, Beverly McGowan, Danielle McNair, Pauline McNamara, Lynn Meehan, Louise Michael, Bindu Melimanan, Elizabeth Mellor, Leanne Mendez, Maria Menelau, Linda Merrigan, Deborah Merriman, Ruth Mette, Lisa Milankovic, Sanja Milankovic, Miranda Majacevic, Suyen Mom, Tracy Montagnat, Angela Montecino, David Montecinos, Mary Monidot, and Amy Moore. Congratulations and thank you for everything you've done for Monash Health. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Karen. It's wonderful. One of the things I really like about these events is it's such a great indication of the richness and diversity of our organisation, with clearly people from a range of different backgrounds, experiences, and as we heard before, people new to the country 15 years ago, new to the country and taking a bit of a breath and then coming into Monash Health, which only adds to the richness and diversity and quality of the service that we can provide. Some of you may not know, but for instance in Dandenong we have the most culturally diverse community in the country, and that's so important that the nature of people who are providing services is in part reflective of the nature of the community we service. Thank you, Karen. So, next question. Back to Slido. Hang in there. Great to hear the responses and really helpful for us to hear. And just helps with that connection. Here I am standing in my office by myself. Normally I'm doing this in front of a couple of thousand people. So it's a very different experience. What do you still want to achieve at Monash Health? So the question is, what do you still want to achieve at Monash Health? So please share your thoughts. 15 years, it's a long time, but, you know, still a few more years to go, I hope. So I'd now like to invite Professor Carlos Schoencastle, who's our Executive Director of Quality and Safety, to announce our next set of 15-year length of service. Carlos, are you there?
I am here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Last night, I think we learned that you've been here for, what, 3 years?
Yes, but I've remembered that I actually have quite a long connection to Monash Health.
Oh, very good.
I worked at Prince Henry's back in 84 and 85.
Okay.
And went back in 87.
Okay.
So there's just been a little break in between, but I'm back.
So Louise and Karen are quickly typing that down because it sounds like you might qualify for your 5-year length of service award, Carlos.
Almost, if I add them all up together.
Yeah, well, that's how it works. A bit of a break. Yes, Prince Henry's and Queen Vic. What were you doing at Prince Henry's?
I was doing the renal job, the renal registrar at Prince Henry's in 84 and 85.
Right.
And then in 87, I was doing intensive care.
Right. So you weren't there when they packed up and moved out to Clayton?
Just before that.
Right. Okay. Okay. So
before that, just as they sold the block and turned it into a property development.
Yes, the Melburnian, I think it is.
Correct.
So yes, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Monash Medical Centre came about through a decision of government to close and relocate 2 inner city hospitals, one being Prince Henry's and the other one being Queen Victoria Hospital and the associated Jessie McPherson Private Hospital. So those 2 hospitals closed and were relocated out to this new facility, which was built, in effect, in the middle of Market Gardens, quite suburb, but a recognition of extraordinary growth and a great example of foresight and planning. You think about it, how silly it would be to have today a Royal Melbourne, a Alfred, a St Vincent's, a Queen Vic and a Prince Henry's all in a small patch of Melbourne and a service like ours non-existent. So a great example of planning and forethought. And here we are today announcing long lengths of service. Over to you, Carlos.
Thank you. So I'm delighted to be here today and be part of this anniversary celebration. The names I'm going to call out are some more employees who've been here for 15 years, and I want to thank you all for staying with us through the years. You're all valuable members of the team, and your contribution to Monash Health has been critical to our success. So let's start off. Julianne Morabito, Samuel Morley, Gail Moxon, Daniel Mrozowski, Daniela Mucibacic, Vansuntun Munasinghe, Anna Murphy, Julie Murphy, Niels Nakash, Suriyakala Narayanan, Luz Navarro Lara, Lima Niang, Juvi Nedung Thurthil, Cheryl Newman, Sarah Newton, Truong Wing, Wu Yung Fong Wing, Jodie Nemo, Meta O'Connor, Sarah O'Donnell, Luca Halloran, Rebecca Old, Joel Pablo, Lisa Packer, Liliana Padilla, Justine Palladini, Georgia Palavras, Katia Palmer, Vera Parker, Dana Patkovic, Jessie Paul, Elizabeth Pierce, Antu Panika, Jean Pendlebury, Amy Peng, Eileen Penn, Jennifer Petlar, Iswari Pereira, Francis Perrott, Casey Peters, Kelly Phillips, Stephen Pianco, Janine Pickering, Kristen Pikinis, Tanya Pileggi, Anisha Pillay, Melvin Pinto, Alfonso Pinto, Catherine Pitts, Mark Plunkett. Thank you all for your hard work, commitment and efforts over the past 15 years. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Carlos. Thank you for joining the team 5 years ago. No, 3 years ago.
Thanks, Andrew.
So next is our interview. Stephen Damiani, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Andrew.
How are you doing tonight, Stephen?
I'm doing well.
Very good to hear. Stephen, 15 years of service at Monash Health?
Yeah, that's right. Started here at Dandenong Hospital in 2005.
Really? And is that continuous, Stephen?
Yeah, it's continuous. Worked through a number of sites. So started at Dandenong, moved to Clayton, worked at Moorabbin, moved back to Dandenong, then moved to Clayton, and then I'm working from home now these days.
What an extraordinary journey. Stephen, can you share with us what you do? What's your role at Monash Health?
Okay, I'm the Director of Business Support Services. So these days I support Martin Keogh directly, so the whole operations area, which is from an expenditure point of view, something like $1.5 billion recurrent expenditure budget per year. So supporting all the program executives and general managers and managers through that. So I have a team of 16 accountants that help the business tick along, I suppose.
Do you remember what the budget was when you first started, Stephen?
Oh, Dandenong would have been, I don't know, $80 million.
80?
Monash Health probably, $500 million.
Yeah. Well, you've done pretty well, Stephen, growing the health service from 500 million to a couple of billion.
Yeah.
So just take credit for that, Stephen. Don't fight it.
I will.
So I think I first met you, Stephen, for a very short time when you were at the Alfred. I think I might have just started and you'd been there and then you disappeared soon after.
That's correct, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, I'm glad to see that you followed me over to a great organisation.
It happens. I don't know if you probably don't remember, but you were also around when a very unusual experience happened for me when was at the Nursing Awards when I'd applied for this job, but I was acting and the board chair called me aside. There was, 500 nurses in the room plus a few guests, and I know you were there, Stephen. Yeah. And the board chair called me aside and told me that I'd been appointed to the job, but I couldn't tell anybody. And that was slightly difficult because I was about to do a speech, and also I was at a dinner where every second nurse in the room wanted to know, had I heard anything and had I been appointed? So the then board chair, Barbara, I never let her live that down. It was a fairly interesting night. But Stephen, part of the reason I remember, I know you were there was because you set the dance floor on fire.
Yes, it's a favourite hobby of mine and my wife Andrea. We love to enjoy dancing.
And a particular style dancing, Stephen?
Yeah, that night was a rock and roll night. And we'd only just begun rock and roll dancing. We were Latin dancers before that, doing salsa and cha-cha-cha, but in more recent years, we're into the rock and roll scene.
And if we were going to sort of just let you have your head right now, and not that I'm going to ask you to dance, because I suspect you probably would, you love it so much, but what's your favourite dance at the moment, style?
Still rock and roll.
Yeah, okay.
Still enjoy it. Yeah.
And do you get to do it much?
Not during COVID.
Yeah.
So in the kitchen, we might put on some music and
good.
Go for a routine to keep it going. But really bursting to get out there onto the floor again and enjoy some dancing.
I've not checked whether any of the executive directors are into dancing. I might ask that next time we could set up something, Stephen.
Yeah.
Favourite memories, Stephen?
Favourite memories?
Or a particular memory that jumps out. I always think favourite memories are hard. It's sort of like, what's your favourite music? How do you pick one? So a particular thing that jumps out, Stephen?
I think enjoying seeing some of these major capital projects over the past 15 years coming to fruition. So, we start at the beginning doing the business cases. It gets built, we operationalise it, and see these buildings come to life with staff, patients, services. And for me, there's been lots of those memories over the 15 years at Monash Health. I mean, it started for me, I think stage 2 Dandenong had just finished, and the project handed over a new theatre suite, a new ICU complex, some new wards, some outpatient space, day treatment area. So it was great to start a job there, where the first job was to build an operational budget for those new areas and new services. And over time we've seen the Monash Children's Hospital, the emergency department at Clayton occur, the translation precinct, just so many projects come online, and for the future, so many projects to still come online, with the Victorian Heart Hospital, developments of the Clayton Tower, the community hospitals for Cranbourne and Pakenham. Just being part of all that is an honour, really.
It's an extraordinary experience, isn't it? And it's, as you say, it hasn't quietened down, it's picking up. And you've just mentioned a few, and government's just given us another $135 million to redevelop our residential care program at Kingston, which is more broadly, which is fantastic. As you say, the ED here, and I see in our comments, one of the comments, what do you still want to achieve at Monash Health? And the comment, where did it go? I'd love to still be around to see the ED at Casey upgraded. Well, I can pretty much tell you we're in the final design of that. So you stick around for a couple more years, you'll be walking through a nice new facility, which is really about expanding it to deal with children. Thanks for joining us tonight, Stephen. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing your dancing prowess, and I hope you're back on the dance floor in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Andrew.
Take care. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our Chief Medical Officer, our Executive Director of Medical Services, Dr. Anjali Julia. Anjali, are you there?
I am, Andrew.
Fantastic. It's always good when I ask that question that I get an answer that yes, I am. Slightly nerve-wracking. Anjali, how long have you been with Monash Health?
Well, I got my tenure badge yesterday.
Ah, of course you did. I did hear that name. I'm not. You're probably a bit lucky, because if we had been on live, I'm sure I would have thrown a few curly questions your way, Anjali.
Always ready for them, Andrew.
Excellent. I'm really pleased to hear that, Anjali. So you started 10 years ago, and where were you before that?
Yeah, I'm from the class of 2010. So before that, I was at the Northern Hospital, and then, prior to that, the other side of the river.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Anjali. We'll move on now. So who's next? Oh, sorry, Anjali, please get going. Glad you came across the other side of the river to join us. And have you always been in medical administration, Anjali, or is that always been what you've done as a doctor?
No, this is my second career, if you might say that. I've been a doctor, but I've been a doctor in the Indian Army. Then I was a pediatrician, worked in intensive care, then came here, became a neonatologist, and then moved to the dark side to work with people like you.
To the bright side, I hope, Anjali. We'll have a chat later. No, seriously, why the shift?
I think it was, there were many things. I think I was at a stage of my life where I was at a bit of a crossroads and wondering, should I carry on with, I was in a new country and, should I carry on with what I've always done or maybe, look at something else? And then I met a few people who had been in this line and I just decided to take a punt. Most of my decisions have been like that, Andrew. Sliding doors, go this way, that way. And I just went this way.
No, I know you have family back in India, Anjali, and India's going through a very different COVID experience. How are they travelling?
Oh, they're very well, touch wood. So I've got my mum in India, and they are now all very, very COVID savvy, really. And it's all around them, but they've been looking after themselves, so that's good.
I'm very pleased to hear, Anjali, and again, thank you for your many years of service and for all that you do for Monash Health in such an important role as our Chief Medical Officer. Over to you for our next round of 15 years of service.
Thank you, Andrew. And what a beautiful experience that, and unique experience we're all sharing. And it's really my honor and privilege to announce the names of the class of 2005. As I said, I was in the 10-year list yesterday, and it gave me really, a big sense of fulfillment and pride to hear my name announced yesterday. And I really hope that you're also feeling the same today. So continuing with the recognition for our 15-year colleagues, Danny Poe, Karen Ponni, Anna Pokuluri, Jessica Poletti, Fiona Ponsford, Christine Poole, Wing Poole, Christopher Kuhn, Ricky Presser, Linda Pugliese, Sarah Kwong, Helena Radashingshuk, Sumati Tadni, Grace Ram, Punya Rachak Godamagare, Jane Rasmussen, Meenakshi Ravi, Uma Ravichandran, Candice Ray, Naseem Riazati, Heidi Richardson, Nicole Riseborough, Narelle Ritchie, Anna Maria Rivas, Kirsty Robertson, Deborah Robinson, Jennifer Rogers, Ashley Rowe, Elizabeth Rudling, Teresa Rumpf, Christine Ryan, Danielle Ryan, Lesama Sajan, Rebecca Sampson, Elsie Santos, Kate Scott, Tanuja Simiran Misser, Tanya Selt, Cecilia Selvaratnam, Soka Singh, Lourdes Serios, Muhammad Shabazz, Rajni Shankar, Wendy Shepherdley, Michaela Shepherd, Tracy Shield, Belinda Short, Vaya Siderellis, Bradley Skeels, Bradley Skinner. Andrew.
Thanks, Angeli. Okay, so now, what do you still want to achieve at Monash Health? Hoping to work at the Victorian Heart Hospital. 50 years of service, so love the ambition. I would love to still be around to see the ED at Casey. We talked about that one before, and a sort of new graduate program, making Monash the employer of choice. So some good advice there, Katrina. I wish to continue volunteering and connecting with the patients at Casey. Implementation of the cancer module of EMR, very important. Make it to 20 years, step at a time, good to see. And excellence every single day. Well done, and thank you for that great feedback. Okay, I'd now like to invite Emilio Pozzo to the stage. Emilio.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Good.
So how long have you been with us, Emilio?
It's been about 4 years and 2 months, actually.
Right, 4 years, 2 months, not days and hours?
Not that detailed, no.
Very good. And interesting time, Emilio. I mean, you've had an extraordinary time leading the implementation of the EMR.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of the work around COVID, where we basically were underpinning with all the digital systems that we had to provide so people could work remotely and socially distance as well.
Yeah, well, you know, here we are tonight having a completely different forum thanks to the work of you and your team. You know, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do this. And it's really, you know, I think we take these things for granted, don't we, these days? But what would it have been 5 or 10 years ago? There's just no way we could have done this, could we?
No.
It's been great work. Okay, Emilio, over to you to announce our next set of awards.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So I'm absolutely honoured, and it's a pleasure to be here tonight, part of this ceremony, and I'd like to congratulate all of the members for their long service awards. Like others before me, I'd like to take a moment to recognise the commitment that people have made to Monash Health, especially in the 15 years. And I'm sure you'd agree with me that Monash Health is a wonderful place to have dedicated your career towards, and I hope that you would actually continue to stay with us. I'd like to continue with the following people that are celebrating 15 years of service at Monash Health. Yvonne Scribulus, Jane Smith, Brodie Smith, Corrine Smith, Dione Smithwick, Jamie Smythe, Lauren Sobotka, Graham Spratling, Panaya Sriraghavan, Ranjana Srivastava, Fern St. Clair de Schultz, Raylene Stanfield, Kelly Staniforth, Laylee Stefan, Sandra Stevens, Anne Stobo, Sally Stoyles, Shana Rode, Jill Sullivan, Leanne Summers, Ramel Sangwan, Anita Sunil, Rochelle Swan, Nokmai Ta, Yuki Takahashi, Rosemary Taranto, Lauren Tassone, Sarah Taylor, Avril Taylor, Simone Tapellis, Poonam Thakur, Rhiannon Thomas, Lizzie Thomas, Jane Thompson, Kim Thompson, Sarah Thorne, Valen Tickell, Kimberly Kivendale, Yolanta Tomasic, Margaret Towell, Barbara Tragars, Jane Traub, Colleen Tucker, Alana Tyler, Mike Tyson, Adamardia Zati Zimarcus, Rochelle Van Gamberg, Darrell Van Gusta, and Jacqueline Van Heer. Congratulations. Thank you all for your commitment and dedication over the past 15 years to our service and your community. We're very grateful. Andrew, back to you.
Thank you very much, Emilio, and thank you for everything you do for Monash Health. So, last but not least interview, Wendy Ewing. Wendy, are you there?
Yes, I am, Andrew. Hi.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Oh, very good. So, Wendy, do you want to just share with the team what you do?
Sure. So I'm the Deputy Director of Pharmacy and I hold the quality portfolio, which is oversight of all the quality and safety activities for the pharmacy. We're nearly 400 people strong. And probably a larger component of my work really is around overseeing medication safety across the whole organisation. So nearly every single patient that comes to Monash Health receives a medicine. So we aim to make it as safe as we possibly can.
Is it a bit nerve-wracking, Wendy, having a pharmacist as our board chair?
I think it's fabulous, actually. Yes, it's wonderful. I think it's the first time in Monash Health history. So it's fantastic and he's a wonderful advocate for us. So that's wonderful.
Great answer, Wendy. How many, this is a slightly unusual question. Do you have any sense of how many doses or how many drugs we dispense in a year or in a week or a day?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't have the exact number, but a few years ago we did a bit of a snapshot audit and it was around the 10 million doses mark annually. So it's
10 million doses of drugs annually.
Yeah.
And I haven't got my calculator next to me, but that's a lot per day. And one can only assume that's got probably more, or would it have got less with the way?
Oh, more, absolutely more. Yes, and that's really only for inpatients in our bed-based services. So yes, it would be far more than that now.
And probably a few thousand scripts underpinning that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So quality and safety, so important in that context, isn't it?
Yes, because there's we call it a medication management cycle. It's really from the moment when the decision is made even to prescribe or order the medicine, but it's about the supply of the medicine, the dispensing, the administration, then monitoring for the effects, and then that continues and that goes on and on. So there's many, many steps and many people involved in those processes.
Some amazing changes in pharmacy in the not too distant past. I mean, EMR we've talked about, pharmacy's been integral to that, but also the smart pumps was an amazing, I think slightly brave, courageous decision that we took, that you led.
We did, yes. We wonderfully, we've been really campaigning for smart pumps for many years, and when we finally got the go-ahead, we then had to reduce our timeline of implementation by about half so that we could actually bring it in prior to the EMR education starting, because it was already, it's a big change of practice, particularly for the nursing staff and midwifery staff, and we wanted to get that in so that they could then focus on the EMR education. And it was a huge project and that involved many people across many different departments, but I oversaw really the medication library, which sits within the pump, and that's the biggest library in all of Australia and New Zealand. It had never been done in a neonatal intensive care unit of our complexity or size before, so it was a real challenge. And I think, reflecting on my time at Monash Health, that's probably been the biggest improvement that we've made in terms of medication safety, but prior to now, obviously the EMR. So it was a great project and one that, had so many benefits that we will see for many, many years to come.
In simple terms, what's a smart pump?
Yeah, so it's a pump that infuses medicine either in a bag or in a syringe. And within that pump, we call it smart because it has a database in there of many thousands of medicines. And so when you go to administer the medicine, you select the medicine, you select the area that you're in, and then it creates special limits around that particular medicine. So it reduces the risk that someone's going to accidentally dial up the wrong rate, which is one of the more common errors that happens with what we call a dumb pump, which doesn't have that database in it. And it will alert the user to say, are you sure you want to do this? This is not the usual limit. Or in some cases, it will actually even stop you from administering the incorrect rate. So it really means that we have much more standardised administration of medicines, but we reduce the risk of those inadvertent errors at the point of administration.
And you had a fairly significant personal development in your time at Monash Health, I understand, Wendy.
Oh, well, I have. I'm sure many people spend many, many hours within the four walls of Monash Health, and I met my now husband when I was a pharmacist working on Ward 44 North, as it was then, and he was a respiratory resident at the time, and now we've just had our 10-year wedding anniversary and have 2 children. So yes, I suppose if it wasn't for my time at Monash Health, we may not have ever met. So I have myself to thank for that as well, I suppose.
And is he up for his 10 years of service, or is he gone elsewhere?
Oh, I think he may be in a similar situation of Andrew Block, where he's interrupted training by going to other organisations, may have interrupted his time. But he's still at Monash Health now after having coming back from other organisations. So, yes, overall he's done far more than 10 years as well.
No,
yeah.
Wendy, thanks for everything you do, and your leadership in pharmacy is so much valued, and congratulations on the 15 years of service and, as I said, everything you've done. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thanks.
Okay, so next is, again, this is sort of live, like live TV, isn't it? Sort of a bit of agility. I've got a couple of choices here as to who I throw to next. So I'm going to try Stuart Donaldson. Are you there, Stuart?
I think that might have been the wrong choice.
It was the wrong choice, Andrew, but yeah, it's okay. I am here.
How are you, Stuart, tonight?
I'm very well, thank you, Andrew.
Very good. Are you ready to go, or do I need to throw to my other choice?
You need to throw to your other choice.
You're not properly briefed, Stuart?
Who turned on his camera as a subtle, just a very subtle
team player.
I think you're going to owe Andrew Block some assistance here for rescuing you, Stuart.
I am, yeah.
How are you tonight, though, Stuart?
I'm very well, thank you, Andrew.
And how's the budget looking from your point of view? So CFO, you're the Chief Finance Officer, you sort of...
I am.
State budget yesterday.
Yeah, we managed to balance the books last year, which was nice, and hopefully we'll do the same thing again this year. The budget is still to be fully revealed to us over the next month or so we'll know by then. Right.
I didn't drag you in from the swimming pool, Stuart?
No, you didn't, Andrew. No.
Beautiful night, though.
No, you didn't.
Thanks, Stuart. Sorry to drop you in it. Andrew Block, save Mr. Donaldson, and
right.
Over to you.
I'm still here. I just have to say, how stellar are our people, Andrew?
It's
really.
Fantastic.
I mean,
it's been a great night.
We've just, obviously it's not been shared, but the executives have just been sharing some of the accolades of our people in the text here. How impressive. And I'm sure in the names that I'm about to read, there are many, many more impressive individuals. It's my honour to twice tonight to honour those who've spent a large number of years with Monash. 15 years. If you think about it, that means that the names that I'm about to read out have had a significant impact on the lives of many Victorians, and that is something to be very proud of and to hold close. 15 years of care for our community is an amazing achievement, and I'd like to honour the following people who've done that through Monash: Paramala Vijayakumar, Caroline Vinay, Tin Vo, Lien Vu, Janet Walker, Melanie Walker, Melissa Wallace, Elizabeth Walmsley, Kylie Ward, Lisa Warden, Wendy Ware, Michelle Watts, Brooke Webb, Kate Weeks, Carrie Ann Wells, Deirdre Wells, Jacqueline West, Sandra Wally, Kim Whelan, Wendy White, Helen Wilkins, Lynette Williams, Leah Williams, Louise Wills, Christine Wilson, Guinevere Wilson, Jacinta Winderlick, Yun Wong, Jennifer Wong, Suzanne Woolard, Deborah Worrell, Patricia Wright, Hongmei Sha, Gita Yakuputiyage, Su Hunyang, Libit Zabich, Lauram Buatsahi Zahao, Josephine Zara, Qin Jiang, Wei Huanjiang, Han Zhao, and Lauren Zuen. Thank you for a significant contribution to Monash and to our community. Back to you, Andrew.
And thank you for those very kind words, Andrew. It's been an extraordinary night and very different, as we've talked about before, but so special and great to hear from people directly. Stories, so many more stories that we would have loved to have heard, but as we say, safety, your safety is our priority. Not possible to get together in the way we did last year, but still I hope you found it an interesting night. So that was 440 people we've celebrated and recognised their service. I've only spoken to a very small number, but great to acknowledge the wonderful work that they've done with Monash Health as volunteers, giving of their discretionary time, their time that they could choose to spend elsewhere, that they choose to give to us and our community and our employees who have chosen to work here and be part of a growing and emerging service that continues to do so, as we've heard tonight. So our final wrap up, and I hope you stay, is a little video we've put together. It's a reflection from some of our longest serving employees to hear some of their stories. So we, knowing that they couldn't be here tonight and join us, they'll join, some of them will join us next week. But thought really nice to hear from them and nice to share that experience with you. So on that note, good night, stay safe. Thank you again for everything you've done. And over to you, Tim, to share with us this wonderful little video.
One word that would describe my colleagues is supportive. We support each other through good and bad times.
Thinking about it, I guess I would say they're keen. Because they're keen to be there, they're keen to work, they're keen to learn.
What's a word to describe my colleagues? Knowledgeable.
There's one word that I can describe my colleagues at Dandenong, and that is that they're a terrific lot of people to work with.
Generous. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't giving people.
They're a wonderful bunch of girls and boys.
Over the last 40 years, I've seen a lot of changes, but the fundamental reason that I do nursing is looking after patients and their families. I've survived EMR, that was a crazy time, and I've survived COVID. So I think you just go with the flow and just keep learning. And
The thing I'm most grateful for in my time at Monash was the opportunities that I've been given right from the first year of my work.
I've seen a lot of changes, but I'm open to the changes because changes can bring good outcomes.
Change is good for all of us. It can scare you a bit. Probably scared me a lot over the years, but I've been happy to embrace it, and then when you come out post-change you realise how good it was and that you're very glad that you took the chance with it.
I love the job that I do, so the rest just falls into place very easily. Great staff, thoroughly enjoy looking after patients and their families, and I hope to continue a few more years.
It's important not to make assumptions about or judgments about people because they come from all different areas of life and backgrounds and experiences. The place keeps me grounded. So when I leave here on a Saturday afternoon, driving back to Phillip Island where I live, if I feel on the way up that I had things on my mind that were that I might have been feeling anxious about or sad about, by the time I finish here and drive home, I think, how lucky am I?
2020's been interesting. It's been very difficult and it's been a real battle for a lot of people. But I think what we've learnt, and certainly what we've learnt in the pharmacy, is that we can deliver our services differently but still do it effectively.
The pandemic has taught me to be very flexible because at my age, that's quite hard to do. I had to move out of intensive care where I have worked for 40 years because it is a high-risk area, and I had to move to a surgical ward. So I have to learn new processes.
So obviously every day is a learning curve, none of us know what's coming next. But it's taught me, in fact reinforced for me, that the human race, that we are very adaptable. We have a situation which can be so devastating, and yet we can find ways of doing things a little bit different and still achieve what needs to be achieved.
2020 has taught me to probably take a step back, to think, to support everybody. It's been a very tough year for us in ICU, and I think in the whole hospital. And I think the most powerful thing is that we are all in this together.